Good coleslaw is good. There, I said it. Middle finger up to all the cabbage haters out there.
You tell him. Honey, where's the chainsaw and other sexy things I catch myself saying lately?
Ooh, very sexy. This atmospheric river can suck a duck. See what I did there? A duck? Because it's a river. I'll be here all day, folks.
You funny. I got a great book recommendation, but then I totally spiraled. Do I go hardcover, paperback, new or used, audiobook, or just go Kindle and call it a day? Now I'm too tired to read.
Yeah, I hear that. Have such a good day. Oh, hello, world. Welcome back to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do just that.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment. Small talk, big talk, and all the talks in between. I'm Heather Frank. And who
I'm
are
Sarah
you?
Lane.
Oh, that's right.
Wow, we almost sounded like we were professionals there.
We did.
You know? Just kind of being like, here's who we are and here's what we do, y'all.
I know. Half the time we don't even introduce ourselves. It's like, hopefully people are like,
We're like,
right.
what? How are you doing, Heather? Because I'm limping along.
We're the small and mighty team have such a good day. And we are so happy to have you along for today's ride. It is going to be a wild one. Sarah,
will
I hear
be,
I hear the weather's it's dumping rain down there. It's not hit us yet. We like to just kick off the show with a little weather talk.
A little
just kinda
like
ease into
wah,
it.
wah, wah, weather talk.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, I always like to
Little
preface
grousing.
this by saying many people have it worse than me. You know, my house has not,
that.
washed away. However, it has been a relentless amount of rain to the point where people who I know, and, you know, we talk fairly often, half the time that they text me now, they're like, how are you holding up? And I'm like, well, I've got my galoshes, so I'm okay. I've got, we bought some English muffins last night, so we won't starve. But we're okay. Thanks.
It's not
for
like you have like
asking.
fire, it's not like you're getting evacuated. I wouldn't say are you having some major flooding down there?
Well, so
Mudslides?
so just a reminder to everybody, or if you're, tuning in and don't know where I live in Northern California on a river called the Russian River, which does flood. I mean, it will, when it crests, a lot of people who live along the river, which is normally, the rest of the year, like such a cool place to live. It's like you go fishing, you throw your kayaks into the river, maybe you got some dogs, like
Inner
everyone's having the best
tubing
time.
with a case of beer,
Whatever,
floating
yeah.
down the river.
But when it floods, not only do people's houses flood, but then you also get a lot of dirty water. Because it's washing into, all sorts of other drainage systems that can't handle it. And then there's a whole issue, and it's not just like, oh, look, lots of water. It's like, it's gross. And you can get trapped. You can get trapped in your house because if you can't drive anywhere to go get supplies or food or help or gas or whatever, you're kind of stuck. So we've been lucky enough to not be in those situations. I mean, I have not. My car is not in danger of washing away. But I also not too keen on going to the gas station because I'm like, I don't want to go out there. Not today.
Yeah. That's living in the country for you. I've never had that sort of mild fear. It's not even a fear. It's just like there's days where I try to just reorganize my schedule so I'm only leaving to go to the big city like once a week because you got to get out, and it kind of takes a lot to get out. I mean, it's not like, I'm making it sound really dramatic, but look, we're kind of deep in this little town. So like I could pop into town and be back home in 20 minutes just to get my mail from like the town of Trinidad, which by the way, apparently Oprah just talked about the town of Trinidad recently.
Really?
Either I think on her show or something. Yeah, I heard someone was telling me about that, and I was like, "Oh,
my
shit.
close personal friend." Wow, I didn't know she had been to
Yeah,
your part
your
of the
buddy.
world.
is pimping out my spot.
Yeah, I never really mentioned that to y'all before, but Oprah and I are very close. I go to Montecito every Thanksgiving, etc.
I bet Montecito's kind of mudsliding right now. They have a lot of mudslide problems when it rains like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, there's a lot of California that, we're all just being
Hold on to your hat, Oprah.
yes, Oprah, we've got some news for you. Somebody sent me, I think it was yesterday or maybe even the day before, because just relentless rain. And, I hate to complain about it because it's like, I know that
Oh, you
other
love
people
it.
have it worse. There's always, it could always be
Sure.
worse. It's like,
Yeah.
we could be in Turkey, under earthquake rubble. Like, that would be way worse than this. Just, to
100%.
cite one example. But somebody sent me a something from like a meteorologist website, and it was like, well, basically half of California is no longer in a drought. That's how much rain we've gotten. And you might go, rain
Wow.
and snow, obviously, because the Sierra Nevada, which is the mountain range to the east of the state, is part of where, runoff comes from. It's like you go, wow, cool. We don't have to talk about being in a drought anymore. We've been doing that my whole life. But then it's like, oh, but now because the infrastructure can't handle all the rain, like houses are falling off cliffs. Oh,
Yeah, like rivers are
All
overflowing.
right.
But we're going to ship all of our water to Los Angeles anyway. So it's like we'll still be in somewhat of a drought because,
That was
LA's
another
gotten a lot of
that was
rain
another
too.
conversation. Heather, it's like you're reading my conversations a little strange, to be honest.
I've been a little fly on the wall at your house this week. You don't know it, but
Heather's
I
like,
was
you thought you
there.
were talking to Alexa this whole time. It was me. Oh boy. So yeah. So how's everybody been doing? Besides weather
Yeah.
things.
I want to hear about other people's
Weather?
weather. Like
Weather?
Wait.
Might be wetter weather.
I'd like to hear from y'all out there. What's going on? Like, what kind of weather are you having? I'm kind of tired of hearing about our weather. What kind of weather are you
know, I
having?
know.
Hi at havesuchagoodday.com.
I
Or hit us up
know.
on Discord.
It's indeed. And if you're not a patron, patreon.com/have such a good day is where to find out more about how to do these things.
Lanes, how is your week going?
Well, it's I think that, weather aside, I'll stop complaining about weather, but it's been more or less kind of fun. I've had a decently fun, I've been productive, did a lot of cleaning, did a lot of dishes, did a lot of laundry.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Sexy.
Things where you're like, okay, well, everyone does that every day, Sarah. But it's like sometimes I let it build up to the point where I'm like,
Yeah.
it's an issue. And then
And
when
you
you
feel
do it, you're like,
accomplished.
oh, it's like you unclogged a drain, right?
I
Where you're
know.
like,
Totally. Cleaned out
we're
your
good.
brain.
We're like normal again. We're not weird. If someone came over, they would not call CPS and be like, I think something's wrong over here. So
It's like you clean
so
the
yeah.
cobwebs out of your brain.
Yeah. Oh God. Speaking of cobwebs, I got a lot of cobwebs in my house, but that is neither here nor there. What I have been thinking about lately a lot, which I have talked about on the last few shows, is that I'm going to be moving, not tomorrow, but sooner than later. And so the right thing to do is just be like, let's rifle through our things and throw out the stuff that we don't want, so we don't have to pack them up and move them, creating unnecessary stress for
Good
me
call.
and whatever group of people I end up using to
animals.
move me. Yes, and my animals as well. So, been going through some things, sort of half-heartedly. I keep saying, well, let's wait till the rain ends, even though really none of my things are outside, so it doesn't really matter. But I still feel like, well, if it's raining, it's like not fun. I need to just like hunker down and not do anything. But I've been going through some stuff, and there's so many things that I'm just like, girl, Marie Kondo this shit. Just if it doesn't bring you joy, it's out of here. Do you know how many tote bags I have, Heather?
Oh,
I mean,
I'm
don't
sure
answer that
a lot.
because it's like 20. I have
Oh
so
yeah,
many
and
tote bags.
why do you need 20?
I don't. I don't even need 5. I probably
I
need
know.
3. Or let's cap it at 5, right? So
Okay.
like, sure,
Yeah.
give me 5. I have way more than that. And they've all become, because I'm not using them, because I have too many of them, storage items. So like I
Yeah,
put something
totally.
in a bag and I'm like, I'll get to it. And then I forget that I did that. So
And then
for
you
the
have
last
20
week,
tote bags in a tote bag.
well, yeah, or like I'm, in my studio, which is a garage, which has lots of space right now, and like there are like various hooks that I'm looking at my various tote bags all around me, and it's like the other day I needed a very small Phillips screwdriver, which I have because I have like one of those like tiny little, it's like a pocket screwdriver kit that you can take
Uh-huh.
around with you, comes in handy. But I'm
Yeah,
also not
definitely.
a very handy person. And the last time I used it was like, I don't know, a year ago or maybe more. And I don't know where it is. And I need it. And I'm like, it's in one of these totes. And I feel like I've looked through all of the totes, but I don't really, yeah, I'm not totally convinced that it's even here anymore. But I'm like, I didn't throw it out. It's here somewhere. And people are like, Sarah, why do you lose everything? And I'm like, I don't know. I try really hard. I only have so many places to put things, but I think the tote bags are to blame.
So are you going to be able to narrow down the tote bags to 5, or are you having a hard time because are you attached to
Okay,
all of them for various
so
reasons?
okay, so good question. So here's my issue with this is not tote bag specific, but let's use tote bags as an example. So right
Okay.
now, just within my line of sight, I've got a tote bag that somebody gave me as a Christmas gift a couple years ago. My friend Trish. Shout out to you, Trish.
Yo,
Really
Trish.
cute. I just never used it before, but it's here. It's nice. I'm not going to throw it out. It was a gift. Then I have another tote bag. It's my favorite one. It's very, I don't know, utilitarian. And that was a wedding, like a wedding guest gift that I got for going to a wedding years ago, many years ago. Love that one. It's also very easily washable, so you can
Why do
like
you love that
clean
one
it
so
up.
much?
Because it's
Like,
just
what
a cool
characteristics
backpack.
does it have?
It's a tote and
Oh,
it's
it's
a
a backpack.
backpack. Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
you can put it on your back, you can slide it on one shoulder. It has like extra
Mind
pockets. It's a
blowing.
cool tote. Then I've got a tote that one of my cousins gave me when she got married. She put like all the bridesmaids gifts into the tote. So like the gifts are, long gone, but like the tote still remains and I'm like, I can't throw it out. It was Molly's gift. That sort of thing. Then there's another
I
one
see.
that has my monogram on it and I'm like, I can't throw that out. It's monogrammed for me. Somebody went through
But are
that
you a
trouble to do
monogram
that for
girl?
me.
I don't
Not at
see
all.
yourself
Not
as
at
a mono.
all.
Yeah, you're not really.
Very much not. But I got a Land's End tote that says SL on it, and I'm like, well, you can't throw that out because it's for me. It always was.
It's you. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this whole. I was thinking about this where I'm like, well, listen, you gotta let go. Like,
Yeah.
please let go, Sarah. What is the reason that you can't let go? And it's nostalgia. It's not
Yeah,
because
totally.
I need the stuff. These are essentially just paper bags, right? They're
Yeah.
not better than that. Well, I mean, they'll
Reusable
last
paper
a little
bags,
longer.
yeah.
They're canvas totes, in various
Yeah.
states of disarray. But I have stories behind them. There's
Yeah.
even another one that I don't even remember what the brand is, but a friend of mine was like, I want you to have this. Thank you so much for watching my cat. And I was like, oh, thank you. Because I was like a babysitter for his cat for like a minute. So like now I have that and I'm like, well, I can't give that up because it means something. So like the nostalgia thing, especially when you're trying to just get rid of clutter, maybe you're moving or maybe you're just trying to, feel a little bit more weightless. I have a
Yep.
hard time with stuff that I have nostalgic ties to. And that could be
Oh, me
like
too.
a pair of underwear or like, a
From that
sweater that like,
ex-boyfriend.
well, I'm not wearing my ex-boyfriend's underwear, but I mean, I wouldn't be above that. But like just something where I'm just like, oh, it's still here. And so many memories attached. I don't want to get rid of this tangible thing that like makes me, even if it's like, this is not all about boyfriends. In fact, it rarely is. But even if it is, it's like, it's not that like I am like pining for that person. It's that it reminds me of an era that is no longer around. So you kind of have this
Sure.
little thing that's like, yeah, but you were there. You were there the whole
Yeah.
time. So I don't want to give it up
Yep.
because once I give it up, maybe it'll go away.
Yeah, I think Marie Kondo has a chapter on this specifically. I completely relate. I have a hard time too, but I think I've gotten better. I probably am better at it than you because I can't remember what I read, but it was some kind of Swedish, yeah, like utilitarian lifestyle, like, trying to keep things simple and, the clutter thing does kind of stress me out. So I was able to separate myself from the object, but not separate myself from the memory. But I get it. You have specific little stories around these tote bags. I mean, what you could do is put them all, keep 5 out to use, and put the rest of them in a box labeled totes. And then it's almost like putting a box of like photographs away for like, further
Yeah.
down the line. You don't need them out like hanging, by your door. But maybe, I don't know, maybe
Right.
seasonally you could rotate them, like take 5 new ones and put the other 5 in there and enjoy
you
all of
go.
them throughout the
Yeah.
year. Yeah.
I could see that.
But you're
It's
selling
sort of
yourself
like,
short, Sarah, because
oh
you are
gosh.
handy. You're handy.
You're just full
I think
of
you're handy.
good advice. Okay, so this is kind of like, and this is me, showing my West Coast side. It's like kind of like people saying, "Oh, I haven't like rotated my fall wardrobe
Oh,
out
God,
yet."
yeah.
Like spring and summer wardrobe, and I'm like, "What does that mean? How many
yeah, that
closets does
doesn't-
one
yeah.
have?" And it's like, well, you don't necessarily have a lot of closets. You just like know that you're not going to wear all the stuff. You don't want to get rid of
Mm-hmm.
it, but you don't need it for like the better part of 6 to 7 months, and you put it somewhere, and
It's
then
more
you bring
East
it back.
Coast.
Very
Yeah,
East
exactly.
Coast. Well, cold weather, where like seasons are actual seasons.
I remember being pretty overwhelmed living in like moving to New York and not knowing, and I was so not used to being a Cali girl and not used to having like a big overcoat that you wouldn't need in like 3 months out of the year, but you need it for like the thick of winter. And like, yeah, storing that stuff away and having like seasonal wardrobe. You don't really have to have that for California. It's much milder.
Well, and I have a couple like pretty significant winter coats because if I were to go to see my cousins in Switzerland, I'm going to need them, if it's, dead of winter or, I don't know. Switzerland is just one example, but you know what I mean? I don't put them anywhere. They're just like in the far part of my closet. Because I'm like, where would I put them? And people are like,
Yeah.
don't you rotate out your wardrobe based on the seasons? And I'm like, I really don't.
Come on, Sarah, get with it.
I know. I got to be better at this.
No, Sarah, I have cousins in Switzerland too. We should make a trip out together, visit
we
the
should.
cousins.
We should. My cousins are well, one of them is in Zurich at this point. So
Mine are in Zurich. Yeah. Yeah.
really?
Gosh.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. We got to.
Yep.
Well, my cousin in Zurich, my cousin Jill. You've met her.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, she's apparently working on the Zurich airport is like going through like some like 20-year revitalization thing.
Uh-huh.
Kind of like what SFO did back in the day.
Oh.
So,
Well, I wonder if
she'll-
your
she'll be
cousins
working at the
know my
airport for quite some
cousins.
time.
We should connect 23andMe accounts and see if we're related.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that kind of just be like the natural resolution of this whole thing?
It would
Heather
be.
and
It
I
would
are
be.
cousins.
Yeah, that would make so much sense. That wouldn't be like weird at all.
It kind of would. I'd be like, I knew it. I knew it
Yeah,
all along.
I knew
Yeah,
it.
I smelled it. Well, so enough about me, Heather, and my nostalgia and inability to throw out tote bags. How has your week been?
It's been pretty good. I was actually just chatting with a little group chat of mine that's kind of like small business owner friends that we just kind of gripe about, just businessy stuff. And it's actually really fun because it helps with, not everybody's going to want to hear about like the ins and outs of your LLC or the conversation you had with your CPA, but you can kind of get the humor out with people who understand, and it actually kind of opens it up and makes it more fun. And we were talking about just trying to stay organized when you run your company and you have to make your own deadlines. And basically, it's really hard for me. And it's actually very hard for my friends too, who are running their businesses. So we were talking about different methods, big sticky notes or putting things in the calendar, having like lists every week, whatever it is that helps you get through stuff. But there's so much of this like nebulous work. It's like these piles of stuff that you have to do throughout the year that you don't really need to deal with until the end of the year. But if you don't keep up with it, you're screwed, because then you have to do taxes and then you're way behind, and then you don't want to have that pile of stuff. So
Right.
I've been trying to be better about giving myself little markers in time. It's kind of like have your TV show come to an end and you're like, got to wind down, and we're going to go to commercial break here. So it's like, this Friday is my soft wrap for taxes, but I gave myself until next Friday in case like some things trickle in, but I really want to get it done this week. So I've been kind of staring down this like deadline that I gave myself of taxes and online traffic school. I'm sort of embarrassed to say I did get a traffic ticket during the movie at like 5 a.m. or something. And total ugh, but I have to do traffic school online and I'm just procrastinating.
I don't want to pry, but like speeding, or like, did you hit a cop, or like what happened?
Well, in full disclosure, there was a beater car in front of me that was it was veering into the kind of the bike lane, if there even was a bike lane, just the shoulder, and it was on a very, very quiet, dead street in a small town. Nobody was around, and they were kind of veering. And they looked like they were going to pull over, and they were going like 3 miles an hour.
I see where this is going.
And so
You
I
tried to
went
pass them.
around, and but there's a middle lane. So it was like, technically, I mean, it wasn't that bad of a, whatever you call it, a traffic violation in my book. But it was just annoying because it was on like the deepest country road. It's like, geez. Anyway, so thankfully, I mean, the online traffic school thing, I don't even want to get into that, but it's kind of hard to figure out how to, I feel for people, because the DMV website sucks and it's really hard to kind of navigate where you do this traffic school, whatever. And I know it's not going to be that hard, but it's going to take 2 hours of my precious time while I've been doing all the procrastinating in the world that I can do. Like even today, for example, I had this bucket of hand washing. Like, I'm not kidding, Sarah, stuff that has been in the bottom of my hamper for like a year, where I'm like,
girl,
I don't need that beachy blah, blah, blah that I wore a year ago for another year.
I have a tote bag for this exact thing.
I bet you do.
Where I'm like, eventually I will hand wash and or go to the cleaners.
It is the worst. And then it piles up. And so I put everything in a bucket like 2 weeks ago thinking, okay, this will motivate me. And I put it by the washer and dryer. And then I finally today, of all days, where I'm like really under the gun, I'm recording the show. I've got a lot going on. And I'm like hand washing. I'm successfully finishing all my hand washing. I even washed the staircase handrails. Who does that? Who does that? People who want to procrastinate. Anyway.
But like, these are things. These are things that, you might do almost never, but then once you do them, you're like, this was really necessary, and I feel pretty accomplished.
Honestly, you should look at your walls from time to time. Look at your handrails. They get dirty. And like, I have a housekeeper that comes in and does some like bigger, deeper cleaning, but I never see her washing the handrails. Not that I'm not like, throwing her under the bus. This is some stuff that, is hard to pay attention to.
It's that, maybe that, quarterly or maybe twice annual deep clean thing that we should all think about. Because that's
great for procrastination, because it like
really
forces
is,
you to
'cause
do
you're
stuff
like,
you don't want to do, but it's better than doing traffic school and doing taxes. So, but
shout out
luckily, to that. Luckily, I'm probably like 65% done with taxes. So I'm in pretty good shape, but luckily I'm a good sleeper. And I know this for a fact because I've always been a good sleeper, but I know this now for a fact because I'm tracking my sleep habits on the Apple Watch. It's funny, I hate to admit it, but that's kind of a huge reason why I got it, because I'm kind of fascinated by.
Don't hate to admit that. Like, that's cool data. That's
it's
like
so
helpful
cool
to people's health. including
Exactly.
yours.
I'm still kind of like trying to figure it out because there's stuff on there that I'm like, okay, I know about REM sleep. Then there's deep sleep, which is separate. And then there's like blah, blah, blah. Like I'm still trying to kind of figure out. But
Yeah.
I've been having like the wildest dreams. Like I've always had crazy dreams. And I go on these very exotic adventures. I'm always in some, I know that I'm in another country because it's that exotic. I'm with people that like are kind of familiar, but like then they're also meshed with other people. I know, they're kind of like a mix of so and so and so and so. And I have this like a Francis Bacon painting, and they're like I'm like climbing ladders in the sky, which was like what I was dreaming last night. And I wake up and I feel, because reality, like we've talked about on the show ad nauseum, kind of bites. But I feel like I truly lead a totally second life in my dreams. Like, so if my day to day happens to be taxes and traffic school and cleaning the handrail in my house, I have like really exciting dreams. Like I went to like Eastern Europe last night and I like hung out with cool, weird people. And it's so amazing. Like I'm really grateful because I know a lot of people who are like, oh, I actually never remember my dreams. And I feel sort of a little sad. So I'd like to hear from y'all out there. Are you guys big dreamers? Are you literally or figuratively? It all works. Email us at hi, have such a good day.
Please do. So we've talked about dreams, here and there on the show. I sometimes, wake up in the morning. Hopefully I've gotten a good sleep and I'm like, I don't know, nothing happened. It was just a blackout,
I don't know.
and now I, make coffee and do it again, in my waking hours. There are other times where I have crazy dreams, and I have a lot of friends who are like so heavy into journaling, right? Journaling doesn't mean like you have to like have like some like cool fancy, journal. It's like you just write down things like what are you feeling? What did you, maybe think about, while you were sleeping, etc. And I wrote down a couple of like recent dreams, and you have to do it right when you wake up, because you'll forget
do.
all the details later. But then you
Yep.
read the details
100%.
lader and you're like, this is gibberish.
Like I'm on
And
crack.
I don't know
What?
how this helps me like learn about myself. but but last night, since you're talking about dreams, fun one, Heather. When I say fun, I mean not fun. So I went to bed at a very reasonable hour. Like, I was I'm getting ready for the new season of Succession. Yay.
Oh,
So I was
me
like,
too.
let's watch like some of the, season 2. Like I kind of forget some of the details. So, that's something that I'm like, I'm in, I put it on, and in 5 minutes I'm asleep, because I'm just like, it's just that time of night. So I went to sleep, but I knew I had an early morning today. I had to get up early and just, I don't know, do work-related things that I normally wouldn't do on a Tuesday, which is when we're recording this episode. So it was like really, really important that I got up, kind of early, set my alarm instead of waking up with the sun, which sometimes I have the luxury to do. So this morning, it's raining and monsooning, so like there is no real sun to wake up with. It just looks dark, at least in the morning, right? Until it gets to like 10 a.m. And I open my eyes. My dog is next to me. He kind of looks at me like, what have you been doing? And I'm like, what time is it? I look at my phone and I'm like, holy shit, it's 15 minutes after my alarm was supposed to go off. Now, that's, okay, 15 minutes, we'll make it work. But I was already sort of pushing the alarm, like where I'm like, I should probably get up earlier than that. But just in case, I'll set the alarm, as like a stopgap. Nope, slept through that too. I've never
Did you
done
just
that
hit
before.
snooze?
No.
Do you just hit
I
snooze, or
didn't,
you don't
I
even
didn't hear
remember?
it. I did
Oh
not
wow.
hear it.
Maybe it didn't go off.
Well, it did. So I've been told. But but I was like, yeah, like, doesn't it go off forever until you wake up? I don't know. I had earplugs in, Heather. It was a whole thing. But I mean, it basically meant that like I woke up like in a Tasmanian devil spiral. We're like, I dreamt
Million
that
things
I
to
was
do.
going to miss my alarm, and then I did because I was dreaming about it. What kind of bullshit is that?
Yeah, I have a
Oh,
lot of those. I would call those like somewhat like lucid dreams where I used to,
kind
as a
of.
kid, my mom would try to get me up, to go to school. And I remember sleeping on the top bunk. This is when we were pretty young. But I so remember she would try to get me to get up and I'd be like, okay, okay. I would fall back asleep, but dream that I climbed down the ladder and like started to get ready for school. And then she'd bug me again and I'd be like, I swear I just got up. Like, what? It was like total Groundhog Day.
Right, where she's like, "No, Heather, just get up," and you're like, "No, but I was
But
dreaming
I
that I did."
did. I thought I already got
Like I
up.
was like so close into REM sleep that I thought it was real. I feel like that's what happened to me this morning with the
Uh-huh.
alarm thing because I'm like, I'm not a very deep sleeper, to be honest. Like, a bird can call lightly out the window, and I'm like, who was? What was that? Where was that? Where's everybody? Everybody okay? All right, we're good. Okay, go back to sleep. Like I don't really sleep through much, but
Maybe
I
you
guess I
need to
did this
track your
morning.
sleep.
I think I'm just really tired.
You should track your sleep right now. I mean, this is maybe a good time to do it
Oh no, I do.
because.
I do.
Oh, you do?
I do it with my Apple Watch. I used to do it with my Fitbit. Same idea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, I do it. I look
So you
at
do
it.
get some deep sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's
But
good.
such is life.
Such is life indeed.
Well, so speaking of escapism, which sometimes dreaming is, I was thinking about so this has been just, I don't know, a crazy week for me, work and personal and, everything. And, like nothing terrible has happened, but I'm tired. I'm kind of like I'm getting up early, I'm going
It's
and then
Tuesday.
and I know, right? Is I think that was like a 40 Rock joke. 40 Rock?
You
Was
mean
it
30 Rock?
30 Rock. God, see?
I was like, 40 Rock, is that a band?
Yeah, yeah. See, that's how you know it's good.
That's awesome.
Because I really start to lose it. But it was like Liz Lemon saying to Alec Baldwin's character, like, "What a week," or "What a year," and he's like, "Lemon, it's February." That's how I
love
feel
that show
sometimes, where I'm like,
so much.
"Oh, it's
Oh, I feel like that all
Monday?
the time.
Oh man." But
But
anyway,
you gotta
so
laugh your way through it.
you
At
got
the
to,
same
you
time,
got to.
you gotta laugh.
And you gotta, it's like you have to like there's a certain amount of like taking care of yourself that like even when things get hard. And this sometimes, I can cut some corners on these things. Like, I mean, I'm always gonna brush my teeth, like
I hope
like
so.
eat a sensible meal, and like I won't go totally sideways, but there are things where I'm like, should have vacuumed. Didn't do that again, and just, like what you were talking about, kind of taking care of the home. And there are times where I'm like, I've got an hour to kill. I still have all these things to do, but like, how do I escape?
Yeah.
I just want to escape for like an hour. I have 60 minutes. Where do I go? And, a lot of that is like, because I, talk about tech news for a living. It's like, all right, let me check tech meme and Google technology and, like see what's going on. But sometimes I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something that's candy. I'm going to eat candy. And so it's like TMZ, and then I look at that for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, I don't feel any better. I don't like this. Don't want to do this. Celeb talk, no, thank you. Somebody else can tell me what happened. Sports. Sports is sometimes a great release for me. Because like it's not my expertise, but I care about some facets of sports.
There's some escapism there for sure.
Yeah, where you're like, let's watch a game. It'll be fun, and you either care or you don't care, and you maybe in my case, close your eyes for a few minutes just to, just to see how it is when you close your eyes. But I was wondering from you, Heather, and everyone else out there, like, is there a little, like a dopamine hit of escapism that you do when you're like, I don't want to do taxes anymore. I can't do it. I cannot for the next hour. I want to do something very different that's like fun for me that will make me be able to finish this task later.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, where do I begin? But I would say just off the top of my head, on a daily scale, is my games, like my crosswords. And it's
Yeah.
I have my New York Times crossword app, super nerdy. I pay quite a bit per month for the New York Times games, which is kind of a bummer, but I honestly don't know if I could live without them. I mean, it's not just you have a daily crossword. I like to kind of challenge myself, and it's such a good escapism because it still uses your brain, but you can kind of lay down and do it, or you can go on your exercise bike and do it. And I wouldn't say it's idle because you are using your brain, but it's not where you have to have like major concentration, but it keeps my
It's
brain
more or less
going.
busy work, but it
It's busy
also like
work.
flexes a muscle,
Yeah, and
I
I feel
think.
accomplished because I'm like, ooh, I
Yeah.
finished the Wednesday crossword. And I try to get myself, it's like I set these goals. Like I want to be able to do I'm sorry, like the Saturday is one of the hardest. I want to be able to get through that. And they have all these other games. I mean, obviously we play Wordle, and like the spelling bee can be fun. I kind of pop in there. I have words with friends with people, so I try to catch up on my games. Would be sort of, yeah, and then my Duolingo, which I kind of consider now at this point kind of a game. It really feels like it, even though I will say I feel French like swarming around in my head a lot more, and I think it is helpful. A lot of people are like, I don't know if Duolingo helps. I do think it does. So those are really which might not be a great solution to this problem, Sarah, because it's all iPhone related. And that kind of leads me to my next topic, which is how many ways these days there is to read a book. And like, I used to be such a voracious reader. I would get through, I mean, I read a lot of fiction, a lot of classic fiction. And I just was a fast reader. And I'd get the paperbacks, fold over the cover, and just blaze through these like really thick, like Clan of the Cave Bears, like 3 inches thick. It would never intimidate me to read a book like that,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
or like Atlas Shrugged, or like some of those really thick ones. And it's funny because I know things have changed. You can chalk it up to like a lot of different things. It's not just that I've gotten older and I've gotten busier. I have more adult responsibilities than I did when I was reading all this fiction in my 20s, my teens and my 20s. And technology has changed our world a lot. I'm obviously much more addicted to my gadgets, my iPhone in particular, which I just said I spend a lot of time doing my games and whatnot. And but I'm definitely one of those people who thinks reading is sexy. I think having looking at books brings me joy. Just like having books, and I have a lot of books. I have a lot of books on my shelf that meant a lot to me at the time, kind of like your tote bags, Sarah. They have
A little
meaning, and
nostalgia. Yeah.
they brought me to a certain place in the growth of who I am. And I will never, even like I think I mentioned the Atlas Shrugged, and the book is like falling apart. Like, why don't I just get rid of it? But it really holds a lot of significance, that book, for me, because it kind of broke open my mind at that age. It was like early 20s. And I just, what I miss so much in life is that precise kind of escapism, is getting lost for hours and hours. Like when I think one of the last things was reading the Harry Potter series. I got really into that, like way back when they first came out. I read those really quickly. Like I was super into it. It's the only time I do that now is really if I'm listening to an audiobook, because I'm doing something while, like, I'm cleaning, or I'm riding my stationary bike, or I'm walking, I'm on a hike. It's just not the same though. And it's like sometimes I notice myself trailing off. Oh wait, I have to rewind it because I don't even know what I just listened to for the last 30 seconds. But when you're reading a book, I guess that could happen too. But there's something about being, so immersed in a book that the outside world just falls away. So recently, a friend, and another friend, recommended the same book. So I was like, oh man, I got to look into this. So I'm like, I've got the tab open for, I think I had this tab open for 2 weeks. I'm like looking at this book. I really like the cover. I like the font.
I'm with you.
I'm really
Close a
into.
tab, you lose your life.
You do. You lose your
Just
life.
keep that tab
Totally.
open and you revisit
And I'll get
at
back
your
to it.
leisure. Yeah.
Oh my God, the tabs. And so I I kind of spiraled because I wanted to read the book. Like I really had a lot of gumption. I'm like, I'm going to do this. We're going to talk about it, me and my friends. And so, like I said, I had the tab open and I'm thinking about, do I want to actually get the paperback or do I want to get an audiobook? Maybe the voice is really cool on the audiobook. What are the ratings? So I go to Audible and I'm reading reviews and I'm getting lost in this weird rabbit hole, and I'm like not really solving the problem. Like, are you going to buy the book or are you not? You're going to go to the local, used book. What are you doing? And I finally closed the tab. I'm like, forget it. I don't have time anyway. And reading is hard enough as it is. I mean, I read a lot, but like more in spurts, like on my phone. I have books that are ongoing. I'm reading 2 books right now. One of them is actually a graphic memoir. And then another one is the Patti Smith. It's her recent book, but it's her Polaroids with like blurbs below them. So it's not like, it's not a 3-inch thick book that's all words. Those are easier to kind of get through. So there's just so many choices now on how to read a book that I feel like it ironically makes me not read as much. I tend to read my magazines. I still have a couple subscriptions. And yeah, it's an interesting, this isn't like a new subject. We've been talking about this since the dawn of technology, but I'd like to hear from y'all out there. What is your relationship with reading? Do you never read? Do you hate reading? I know people who, they hate reading. It makes them tired, makes them fall asleep. What is your relationship with a good book? Email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com.
Well, and we should say that like everybody reads. That's how we know.
Sure,
things.
of course.
So like if you're like, I don't like a novel really, I'm not into it, doesn't mean like you're
like
not
more long form
caught up on life. Yeah. I get that. It's funny, Heather, just recently I was having a conversation with somebody who was like, what's the whole hardcover, paperback thing? Like, okay, I guess like the hardcover is like more expensive because it's cooler. And
it also is the first thing that comes
earlier.
Out. So you get the book. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like, sure. But like, why? Like most people don't really care about that unless they're using the book as like an art piece on a wall, or a shelf. And, I'm one of those people. 90% of the books on my bookshelf upstairs, I've either read, I haven't read, or I'll never read. Like it's like,
that sums it up.
It just sort of looks like, I don't know. I like the colors, but the hardback totally. And paperback and, everything in between. The only thing that I did have an issue with, I still kind of do, is when I guess it was just over a couple of years ago where, I was going through some medical stuff and like I was going to have some downtime. A friend of mine bought me a Kindle Oasis, one of the Kindles.
Cool.
And he was like, oh, like whatever book you want, just let me know and I'll buy it for you. And I was like, thank you so much. So nice.
That's so nice.
I have books. Like I can do that, I have an Amazon subscription. I'll work it out. Thank you, though. And I look at it and I'm like, yeah, okay, I could do this. But like, I would really prefer the Dead Tree version. I don't care if it's hardcover or paperback. Never have. In fact, paperback is just easier because it's like easier to put like in.
And you don't have to charge it
in your totes.
Because like half the time, like my Kindle's like been sitting in the corner collecting dust and it's not charged. And I'm like, oh man, I wanted to read it right now. Gotta charge it.
Well, I mean, in in an ebook defense, they do hold a charge for quite some time. It's not
yes.
It's not like 24 hours.
It's a terrible excuse.
It's more like 3 months. But yes. No, I'm with you on that. Like there is a little bit of like, I don't know, feeling crippled by choice, I guess.
Yeah,
when it comes
I think
to
that's
some
my
of the
problem.
stuff where you're like, I want to, so-and-so tells you this is the best book, you'll love it. And you're like, okay, what do I want to do? Like buy a book, rent a book from my local library using some sort of EPUB thing. Do I want to do an audiobook? What am I doing? And then you're like, crippled by choice.
Yes,
That's how
exactly.
I feel anyway.
my my one of my cats right now is like rubbing their face on every part of my setup right now, wanting food. So just to warn you,
Okay.
he's getting up in my shit, and I'm trying to escape here.
Well,
Have,
been there.
have you ever had an animal that tries to attack you? I think he's playing, but he just tried to attack me. Oh, crazy animals. Yeah.
I have a very clingy cat. Well, a clingy dog as well. But my cat is very clingy. Ralphie the cat is like, if I've been away for, I don't know, more than 1 minute, outside the house, and I come back in, it's like I haven't been there in a year. Meh, meh, meh. It's very cute, but it's very annoying if I happen to be like coming in to be like, I have to sit at my computer and do some work, and I can't have you, cat, doing that shit. So I can only imagine. You guys can't see this, but Heather is like doing a dance around her room right now, like trying to get Charlie out of the room.
I literally had to throw him out of the room.
I
No
saw
joke.
that.
He's like fully attacking me. Anyways,
Well,
where were we?
on that note, because we do value safety of humans and everyone in the animal kingdom, I think we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. But just a reminder, we are fully supported by the folks on Patreon. So patreon.com/havesuchagoodday is where to find out more about how to become part of that community if you so desire. We always like to say, if you'd like to join our Discord, if you're a chatter, or maybe you're a lurker, or maybe both, all good. I certainly understand how that feels. If you can part with $5 or anything above that per month, you could certainly jump into our Discord. Thanks to everybody who's already there and makes it fun for all of us. And yeah, as we mentioned, if you have anything that sparked your interest where you're like, ooh, anecdote, I wish I could tell you my anecdote of anything we talked about on the show.
We like
Hi
anecdotes.
At havesuchagoodday.com. We love anecdotes. Hi at havesuchagoodday.com is where to send an email.
Hey, spread the good word too. The good have such a good day word to your neighbor, your grandma, your barbecue you go to. Just
Get
let
your
everybody
kayak,
know.
go down the
that,
river,
yeah.
and tell everybody the good word.
Spread the word. Thank you in advance.
Spread the word. Well, this was episode 183. Heather and I are always talking about our slow march to 200. And boy, are we getting
Slow and
closer.
steady.
Yep, slow and steady wins the race. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. But thanks to everybody for listening and being part of us. And, spreading the good word.
Keep on keeping on.
I feel like I'm like part of like the watchtower right now, which is not my intention, but you get it. You know what I meant. Yeah, keep on keeping on until episode 184. I will be Sarah.
And I will remain Heather forever. Have such a good day. Ciao, ciao.